Thank you so much for coming to our class today on HR recruiting and retention strategies. I've got three awesome guests from dealerships around the United States here. They're going to share a little bit about their approaches. Introduce myself real quick. My name is Ryan Condon. I'm the CEO of Satisfied. We're a leading provider of employee and customer experience solutions for the heavy equipment industry. We've been serving John Deere dealers proudly for 25 years. So thanks for the opportunity to do that. I'm going to go through and introduce our guests here. At the end, we have Federico Lamas, Vice President, Virginia Tractor, 6-location ag and turf dealer with 150 to 250 employees across a couple different businesses. He's been with Virginia Tractor for 10 years. Next to him, Josh Wagoner, President and CEO of Hudson. Houston, Hudson. 32 location ag and turf dealer with 850 employees operating across Michigan, Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee. Josh has been with the dealership for 6 years and his current role for 4 years. And next to me here, I have Bill Buckles, President, Murphy Tractor, a 29 location construction dealer with 800 employees, 29 locations throughout Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and Ohio. Bill has been a part of the Murphy Tractor team for 31 years, serving in his current role for the last 5 years. So if you give me a quick round of applause for our panel today. One of the things that we wanted to do is have sort of different size dealers, different perspectives, ag versus CNF, things like that. So hopefully we'll get some great perspectives that will help you take a few nuggets back to your dealership, figure out how to improve your recruiting strategies and your retention strategies in your dealership. So with that, let's start. I'm just going to ask some questions, and then if you guys, anything strikes you, go ahead and shout out. What specific employee attraction and retention challenges have you faced, and how have you overcome them recently?
Well, I guess the one you and I talked about when we were getting ready for this was over the past couple of years since COVID, we had a challenge of finding parts counter people. It just, and one of the things we battled in our area is it seemed like automotive dealers were paying a small fortune for people who were parts counter at a car dealership, which I don't think is any more challenging, if it's challenging, as our job. So in that process, we did increase our compensation for parts counter people just to help address that. But the other thing we had to work on was really identifying the cost of our benefits. What we found, one of our branch managers actually came up with this. I can't take credit for it. There was a candidate that they really wanted to hire because of experience, personality, and such. And we were not where that person wanted to be on an hourly rate for his compensation, but the branch manager took the initiative to drill down onto the benefit cost of where, I don't remember now if it was where he was working or if it was somewhere else he was looking to go. And when they drilled down on those benefits and looked at the cost of all the benefits, we were like $1,000 a month less in what the cost was. So it offset the hourly wage. So, we just went into more detail and made sure the candidate understood what the entire package was. And that helped us fill up a number of those jobs.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what we saw again was parts people are often looked at as a stepchild. Yet they create some of the most generous margin in our company. Parts don't go in sick, like that. So a lot of people don't like to get into the per hour conversation or the conversation on publishing it for everybody to see, but we're being more transparent with that. So we like to we have a couple COGs, so one in the south and one in the north, mostly in Michigan. And we'll go ahead and interview the employees for commercials, for recruiting campaigns. We put the local people on TV, on the bulletin boards, etc. And then we'll put, starting at $20 whatever an hour, with 401k with a 3% match, with profit sharing, with blah, 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 blah. And at least they know what they're getting into. There's so many job postings are put out there just bland. You got a parts job. Okay, well, what does that mean? So the more you can share and the more transparent you can be, and it's not like you got anything to hide. We have a very detailed pay scale in our organization that has both techs and parts people by level 1, 2, 3, 4 based on experience, tenure, etc. They know what they've got to do to get to the next level. So it's published. Everybody has it. The public has it. Everybody knows. And it at least opens up the door for others to raise their hand and ask more questions. If I'm looking at a job posting and all I see is need a parts counter person, good benefits, apply, rolling on past that bad boy. But if I see it pays $28 an hour, maybe I'll stop.
That's great, thank you. Federico, anything?
So, from a smaller company perspective, I'll tell you what we were doing wrong. And I'll tell you, I got all kinds of great lies to tell you, but our HR manager walked into the room, so now I can't. So the biggest mistake that we were making is our onboarding process was horrible. We had like a hybrid HR department that was somebody doing one job and then she was doing HR at the same time, so they were kind of doing two things and not doing either one of them that good. So the best thing we did was obviously we hired an HR manager that created processes and did our onboarding. Our onboarding, like I said, was virtually non-existent. So you were lucky enough to bring people into your organization, and then you don't do much when they walk in the door. It's kind of like, here's your job, go get it. So we were horrible at that, and like I said, simple story is the best thing we did was hire a HR professional that created processes for us and made our people happy from day one.
Great, so let's talk about retention strategies. I know there's been challenges retaining techs and things like that. Any unique approaches you've taken to retain techs, retain employees in general?
Part of what we have that we really focus on, probably more than anything, is our people strategy. And you have a financial strategy every year. These are our financial goals. And not enough organizations get into the people strategy. So what is it that we want to apply to our organization that creates an employee-centric organization? People put the customers first. No, they're not. The customer's not first. And I don't just say that, like, we practice what we preach. If you are not engaged with your employees, creating opportunities for growth via training, or putting family first, which we'll talk about in a minute, you'll never have the opportunity to create a customer-centric organization. So you guys know this, happy employees are productive employees. Also, people have lives. So if we see that you're in our organization more than 40, 45 hours a week, we're going to challenge you to go home. Not because we can't pay the overtime. We're nearly a $2 billion revenue company. So we've built our success on people who are happy, who know that when they go home at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, there's no repercussions. And when their kiddos are sick, they can stay home. If you need to come in at 9, come in at 9. All right? If something else is going on in your life, pick that. So God, family, Hudson is what we like to say. So if you don't have that property right, and you've got someone that's antagonizing, looking over your shoulder, boys, get rid of it. Especially with these Gen Xers. I've got a daughter in med school who's made it very clear that when she graduates, she's going to be her own boss. Doesn't like it. She called me old people. She doesn't want to work with old people. You're dictators, and you want to run a business, and guess what? I can do my job. I'm forward. I'm sorry, it takes you 80. So we've got to be able to be willing to change, look at things differently. The biggest part of that, I think, is the empowerment piece. So are you the guy that says that your employees are empowered? To hear yourself say that? Or are you in there checking everything they're doing? I can tell you that we're empowering people. So if you're in the store, it's your store. We flipped our org chart upside down, right? So when we go in and talk to our teams, they know that Josh works for VPs who work for the regional managers who work for the stores, because customer-facing employees are the ones that matter. Because without them, we're done, right? Are you making your employees feel that way? Do they feel like they're the most important in your organization? Does your comp align with that? Do your benefits align with that? Or didn't? They do now. You're paying a regional guy X to drive around from store to store to make sure his guy's doing his job. He doesn't need him to do that. So we've upped the ante. The guys that are on the ground are getting paid more. They get more benefits. They get more vacation time. and they get in habit. And if you make a mistake, that's okay. We're okay with it. Don't make a bunch of them. Right? Are you learning from it? Are you repeating the same mistakes or holding on? So let's grow and get better together. But these people who get these titles that feel like they now have the ability to come in and trump someone or make them feel small. Don't make it a good organization. It's saying, if you're an asshole, we will find you. And you can find
Bill, successful retention strategies.
Well, one of the things that we've been pretty successful with is with our service technicians, probably for 20 years, maybe 25. We've got a pretty structured program for our technicians with different levels of skill set, and there's they get a percentage of our shop rate. So the nice thing about that is they don't ever have to come ask for a raise. You don't have to worry about that. If we raise the shop rate, they all get a raise. So they're different levels. They get a different percentage of that. And it's really helped us retain technicians a lot, because, you know, in some of my previous life before Murphy Tractor, there were setups where, you know, the technician was getting paid X dollars an hour, and if the company raised the rate $4 an hour, that didn't mean the technician got anything. This way, there's no griping. If we raise their labor rate, they're getting a piece of the pie.
It's interesting. I've read some employee sat surveys that we've collected of the dealers, and I see that, hey, listen, everything's going up. All the expenses are going up. Our shop rate's going up, equipment's going up, but my salary's not going up. I'm not making any more money. So I think it's a great comment. Federico, anything on retention strategies?
Probably the most eye-opening thing that we did, and I've been talking to Ryan about doing employee surveys, which is critical in my opinion. But go ask your employees if you want to have an eye-opening situation. Ask your employees what their purpose is for their job that they're doing for you. And if their answer is not taking care of the customer, they don't know what they're doing. So you can go ask the technician, what's your job here? What do you do here? And they'll say, well, I work on tractors. Well, the answer is, no, you're here to take care of the customer. Because the end is, without our customer, we have nothing. So everybody that works in our organization, their sole purpose in life is to take care of our customers. So that's all that matters. And when you go and ask your people that, if they don't say, I'm just here to make the customer happy, then you have a problem. That kind of ties into what Josh said at the beginning. You have to find those people and weed them out, the ones that are there for the wrong reasons.
Josh, two things about what you said. Thanks, Federico. The first thing is we did a class panel discussion one-on-one in AED last year. And I was doing some prep work with the presenter. And I said, you know, this is all about the customer. And he said, we need to stop for a moment. It's the employee first. In our organization, we focus on the employee and the customer is actually second. So I think it's really something interesting. I think we all really focus on our customers and make sure no matter what, hey, if the customer needs something serviced, that employee needs to get it done and not leave before the end of the day. It's always customer, customer, customer. And this is the second time I've heard people say stop, right? The customer's not number one, the customer's number two. And I think we all find that the customer ends up being so important when you treat employees number one. So I think it's great.
Yeah, that drives customer-centric behavior, but it's, initially when we came, because of the previous leadership said a lot of things that never really came to fruition. So one of the things that helps the retention is, another thing that I'm sitting here thinking is we do roundtable sessions twice a year. When I say we do roundtable sessions, I do roundtable sessions. You will not find me in my office. We're in the process of closing 11 more dealerships, so we'll be at 42. It's getting harder and harder to get to all of these. I personally go to every dealership with one or two of my other leadership folks, and we'll take my admin with us. We get representation from every department, and we sit down, and we get to the beef. What's going on? What's the word on the ground? Give us feedback. And at first, there was a little bit of reluctancy to say, I'm having issues with this or this, because it's not supposed to be a bitch fest. It's supposed to be, what can we do to get better? And so we filled up sheets and sheets of paper, and I'm assuming they're happy about this, but the word I'm getting is, well, we'll never hear back from that. But before I'm at the next store, my admin is put the notes together, send them out, assigned action items to certain people, and we're executing. Now, it doesn't mean they're always going to get a yes, okay? But they're gonna get a response. And I have a 90-day commitment, because again, it's a lot of locations, that we will have you an answer. A good or bad one, we're gonna have it. And then the following year, when we do these roundtables again, we can say, hey, out of these 19 issues, 17 of them have been marked off. We're now into our 4th or 5th year of doing this. When we have these roundtable sessions now, we have pizza and high fives. The problems are going away. We gave them a voice, we took them serious, and when we say we're gonna do something, we do it. Quit telling people you're gonna do something, not doing it, you're losing credibility, you're losing trust. Just tell them you can't, right? You can't do it. But show up. You can't run your company from a corner office. Okay? I love being out in the shop, so part of it is, if Bill, just smack me if you want to talk. I was a total dominator by trade. So I spent 7 years on back shift, factory, getting my engineering degree, and I effing hated it. Because I wanted to be with people, not with a welding helmet on, which by the way, I'm pretty good at welding, in case I need a welder. But I had to find a way to get back in front of people, because I also got in trouble about talking. So what I had in those roles were people who looked at me as less. Oh, he's a toolmaker, he's nobody. And then you would have a plant manager or someone hired come up, and they would never give me the time of day. I hate that. So I'm like, I'm preparing these molds that you need in the machines to run to make the parts for your customer that you're taking credit for. And I always promise myself, if I ever get an opportunity to lead a company, I will make sure that the people on the ground get the credit, because that's where it's at. So one of my other favorite parts when I'm sharing these stories is, hey, technicians who are in trade school, this is a great thing, right? Embrace that. I was in trade school. You want to run a $2 billion company? Guess what? We can. Raise your hand and tell us how you want to do, or what you want to do, and we'll see that you have the path to get there. We're going to push education. We're going to push career paths. We're going to push leadership programs. We have all of that, but you got to raise your hand. You have a voice. We see you. You got to reiterate that you are seen. Tell people you love them. I know it's weird as hell. People freaked out when I started doing that, but we just had our summit last week, and I had more grown-ass men kiss me on the face. Because we've broken the barriers that it's okay to have compassion and care for people and show some openness. That's not weakness. If you think it's weakness, then wait till these Gen Xers get their hands on your ass. Seriously, it's the way.
No, you're right. I mean, one of the things you've got to do is interact. And as Ryan said, I've been in this job as president for 5 years. Before that, I was in the sales department at Murphy for most of my career. So when I was named president, one of the things that came up fairly shortly, I got wind of was, oh, well, he's always going to favor sales. You know, he's not going to give a damn about the people's parts counter, not going to give a damn about the service technicians. So I made a commitment then to visit every branch within the first year. I went to every branch. When I go to a branch, even constantly, if I go to a branch, I make an effort to go through that parts department, people in the parts department, talk to the technicians that are in the back, talk to what's going on. We do a 45-day survey on new employees. I see every one of those, I see every exit interview when somebody leaves the company. And you get into things, you get opportunities there. And one of those 45-day surveys, we had a lady that started as a service writer for us in a branch. Reading through it, and there's one of the questions on there is, you know, something in fact of what issues have you seen with the company, or what don't you like about the company, you know, at this point. This lady wrote, well, I really don't like the spiders in my office. Okay. I picked up the phone and called her. I said, hey, I introduced myself. I hadn't met her personally at that point. I said, just wanted to check, can somebody do something about these spiders? And there's this silence. She didn't know what the hell to say. I mean, she's, well, yeah, it's all taken care of. But she knew somebody read that stuff. You know, somebody was paying attention to it. And I think COVID helped us a lot in that. I feel like we're a more, I guess you'd say, compassionate company of people and their families after going through COVID. I mean, COVID hit everybody different. I mean, not only the illness itself, but the challenges it placed in. And, you know, that happened, was it a year after I started this job? Several people said, "I'll bet you didn't sign on for that." I said, "Yeah, no kidding, they didn't talk about that in the interview." But, you know, it just brought out, you know, you had situations come up where you just had to have some compassion. I think that's very important, to care about their people.
Thank you. Federico, you shared about having some roundtable discussions at your dealership.
Yeah, we're not quite as advanced as Josh's organization, but, and something that I talked with Kristen, our HR person, I call them employee councils, which is what Josh said, you get representation from all the departments, and then they pick who's gonna come to the meeting. So for example, the technicians at each individual store will say, well, you know, this person's gonna come to the meeting. And we've had a couple in the past, and like John said, everyone sits in there and they have an opportunity to say, hey, here's what we like, what we don't like, here's what our gripes are, here's what we should change. I started asking people, I said, I want to know three things. I want to know, what should we start doing as a company? What should we stop doing? And what should we continue doing? And that enabled us to learn a lot from our people. And they feel more appreciated because they have a voice, they come in and they get to speak. And I'm not the owner of the company, but the owner is purposely left out of these meetings for a couple of different reasons. One, he's a busy guy, he's not as available as I am, but they just want to be heard, they want to get their point across, and they feel a lot more appreciated when we listen to them. And like Josh said, we can't take care of everybody all the time and grant them all their wishes, but at least they're listened to and heard. And we want to get to the point where we're having them quarterly. We're not quite there yet because we're just not as big an organization to have that many people, but we're getting there.
So Josh, as you were sharing about your approach and putting the employee first, and hey, if you're working more than 40 or 45 hours, I'm going to come down on you, we're going to have some issues. I'm just wondering if people in the audience are thinking, hey, that's great, you're a big dealer, you got a deep bench, you got a lot of, you know, got great recruitment strategy, you got people coming in the door. Does that scale down? You know, can you really operate a 5, 10, 15 location dealer group with a similar ideology and always put that employee first and still have enough people to be able to get the job done?
Well, yes.
Okay.
So when I started here, because I started as a vice president of sales too, and I had issues making the transition to cover every department. We had 12 stores. We were a $1 million 12-store organization. We had about 350 employees. And we did not put our employees first. We did not insist they go home. We wore our technicians out, we wore our parts people out, and the turnover was massive. So what I'll tell you is you can't afford not to. That's what I'll tell you. Is it painful at first? It is. You might have to staff up a little bit, but for what you're paying in overtime, you'll offset it. Okay? But there's a reason today that we are growing to the size we are. It's because we are fueled by employers. Retention rate 93.5%, probably some that are better, but we're pretty proud of that. Our technicians alone are a little higher. I think that your average is in the 20s, the mid-20s, ours is I think 11 or 12 now. Even technicians, we retain. What's driving that? And we'll keep going for just a second.
Yeah,
We don't have a tech program, start one. Yes.
Yes, we have.
Okay. Yeah, so build your own, right?
Yes.
You got 52.
We have a scholarship program. We
Yep.
offer,
That's awesome.
we currently have 57 students in various techniques.
Yeah, awesome. And really, that's the path forward, right? That was chasing the dollar. We would get this dealership's tech and this dealership's tech, and then 6 months later, they went back for the dollar, just cyclical. So like our ag tech program, we pay for everyone's education, we pay for their housing, but we require 2-year commitment when they get out. And we're in the 50s too, I don't know exactly how many we have, but we've got 10 or 12 that are rolling out every single year that we're replenishing our stores with, and we get to train them. We'll call the Hudson way, and create the culture that we desire instead of typically if there's a guy that's willing to leave the company or organization, or $1, he's probably toxic. He's leaving for $1. Do you want him? You want to bring him in and mess up what you have? Build your own.
Great, thank you. Let's move in and talk about millennials and Gen Z. What sort of experiences are you having? How are they different? How are you changing your culture to support them, improve them? Federico, want to start on that?
I'll defer back to what I said at the beginning. You hire a person that's smarter than you, that knows how to deal with these folks. Because, you know, a guy in my fifties like I am, I don't understand the younger people, and they don't have the same, they can't relate the way, I don't understand, they don't understand what it's like to not have the internet. You know, I was around when the internet didn't exist. They don't have any concept. So you have to have that different perspective. So your cross-section of managers should relate to your type of employees that you have. And like I said, that's why we got a professional like Kristen in that can relate, and she is trained in those different avenues that just because we're in a leadership position doesn't mean we know the right answers.
Thank you.
Or even have a 22 or 21 year old at home.
They'll tell you all the right answers.
It's scary because I'm like you, I'm not the expert. Congrats on running your company with a small staff because it's hard to do, but I know we had 4 or 5. When we started, I think our HR department is 25 people now. But you can't, technically, you need to have a certain amount of employees per HR person. And we don't have recruiters. We have separate benefits people. We have separate, I don't even know the number. I know it's probably too many. But I do ask my children, to be honest, what is it you're looking for in a workforce? And working remotely is a really big deal right now. We allow it. You can do your job at home. I don't care. I give 0 cents. Part people, oh, that's not fair. Okay. Do you want to be an accountant? I'll send you to school. You can stay home. Oh, I don't want to go back to school. Okay, well, see you at the counter. We'll offer every opportunity for everybody to get to the job they desire. Don't complain to me about it if you're not going to take that path. So, am I going to work from home? No, I expect our leadership team to be there, but if there are several roles, we've got FP&A people that they work from home. And quite honestly, if they have a kid at home and they're watching 2 hours a day, I don't care. That is our world we live in. You're going to have to get past that. And it's amazing how much can be done in less time. Because I don't know about you guys, when I am in the office and walk out, there's people shooting shit around the water cooler way more than I'd like to set for the internet. I mean, they are. I mean, I've seen Facebook posts where Hudson sucks from my employee to work hours. I'm like, I think it's all roses. There's still some people out there that, as they say about that, be negative. Again, like I said, I don't know. We have the culture to build them up and do all this stuff first.
I wrote that review, Josh. Sorry. That's exactly what I said.
Here's some grace. Yeah, you have to, and it is frustrating to people, right? We celebrate the fact that our technicians can get outside and be on the road and work in the environment, and we made that a really big deal. So really, the only people that are tied on are your support staff. So you gotta have somebody there answering the phones, et cetera. And now, oh, I'd like to work. Okay, well, here's these 6 jobs that do that. Here's the path. As long as you got a solution to their problem, you give them the opportunity to say yes or no, it takes it off of you. Because then it's like, what are they gonna be mad about? You offer to send them to school and get them the job they want, and they don't want it. There's nothing I can do about that. But if you're not willing to be flexible with work schedules, et cetera, we've got some stores that do 4-10s, start from Monday to Thursday, the second half works from Tuesday to Friday. We alternate weekends. And the cool thing is I don't dictate those schedules. VPs don't dictate those schedules. The store dictates those schedules. We say you have responsibility for your P&L. We mean the entire P&L and everything that goes on in that store. So if you want to close on Saturday, 2 weeks before everybody else does, that's on you, right? You've got your budget and everything to worry about. So if you can do that and take care of your customers and someone's gonna call, fine. I'm not controlling that. I can't control what's on the ground and what's going on. You've got to trust your team to know that. So that goes back to that flexibility piece. More and more younger Gen Xers and stuff that we have coming up that we're finding are taking leadership roles because they're really passionate about it, are changing the way we're looking at things, and some of our older group is having trouble getting on with that right now, but we're good at it.
Oh, you experiencing similar things?
Well, certainly. I think we're probably, I don't know, maybe this is a misconception, but I feel like based where we are in the Midwest, we have a little less challenge with it, maybe than Frederico might on the East Coast. We try really hard to hire people that we feel like will fit in our culture. One of the things probably that bothers me as much about the Gen Xers is when and this is call me old fashioned, this probably is, when I see a resume from somebody that has been in change of jobs every 18 months. I don't believe in a little loyalty if you're working in a place where they take good care of you and it's a good position. Yeah, it's an issue. I don't know that we have any secret answers to it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just looking at somebody's resume, right? And I said something similar internally, like, wow, this person's been in a lot of places here recently. Right?
I mean, you understand that, one time on there, they moved into something they thought was great and it was a bad deal, it was that they were working for. I mean, the saying is, people don't leave good job or bad jobs, they leave bad managers. And I do believe in that because I share your passion, and we've gotten, over the years, we were way too guilty of tolerating people that were cancers on the organization. And we've become a lot more intense about that if we've got a cancer in the organization, we really got to figure out a way to get them out. You run into those. I mean, been a branch manager, one of our branches one day, obviously had an anger issue, literally went out in the service department, berated a bunch of the technicians and physically opened them in the chest. I got a call about that from our region director, and I said, he's out of there today, fire now. You can't tolerate people like that, because it sends a message to everybody else in your organization that half-assed performance is acceptable, or being a jerk is acceptable. That's just not true anywhere.
Great, thank you. One of the things that we see commonly on our employee surveys is feedback from employees and dealer groups that say that leadership doesn't really understand what's going on. My input isn't really welcome. There's not good open communication helping me understand why decisions are being made and things like that. So any innovative approaches that you can share with the group as far as improving that communication in the organization so people understand what's being done, why it's being done, and giving them an opportunity to provide some input, even if you don't necessarily think it's a great idea, making them get a sense that their ideas count.
Well, I think the guys addressed that. One of the things we're doing is we regularly have our parts managers in for a meeting, service managers in for a meeting. We just had a sales meeting in Phoenix last week with all of our salespeople. Before we do those, we'll send out a survey monkey and ask them some structured questions, but one of the questions on there is, what question would you like to ask Bill? And I take questions at every one of those meetings. I go to the meeting, I look at the list of questions, you get some pretty goofy stuff once in a while. But you get some serious stuff that people want to know, and they're all anonymous. I have no idea whoever puts the questions in. Like last week in the sales meeting, one of the questions was, have you given any thought to raising the base pay for the salesmen? Yeah, I have. Get your ass out there and sell something. That's how you get a raise in sales. That wasn't really the answer I would fuck out whether the service managers meeting we had last fall came up in the meeting that new service trucks we were getting, due to availability, we're starting to get some Max in our field service trucks. One of the comments that came up was the horn that comes standard on the Max service truck sounds like it's on a Toyota Corolla. Well, to a service technician, that sounds kind of weenie. So I sent a note off to people that handle the vehicles, and I said, hey, get a hold of Napa and tell them we don't want, we want a real horn on these things. I mean, that service tech out there driving his truck, he's proud of his truck. If he wants to blow the horn for somebody, he wants them to know that he blew the horn. So you find out all kinds of those things, and, you know, if you respond to them, they have some respect for you and appreciate the opportunity to get input. But as Josh said, you don't always give them the answer that they want, but you tell them why it can't be the way they'd like to have it.
Well, so as far as more engagement for communication, about what we do beyond employee engagement surveys every other year. If you're not doing that, please do those. They will hurt your feelings, especially if you have the desire to be loved by people. Watching out there that think you're lots of shit about that, and they're gonna tell you that CEO sucks, and you're like, "Oh, it actually does, because it probably a little bit of salt right there, but as far as communicating, every Monday, we have our leadership meetings. We don't do these 4-hour BS sessions, we do an hour, and if we're not done at the hour mark, we're done. You gotta respect time. Tuesdays, we have enterprise calls, that's all your directors, your managers. It's more of a lower level, it's an hour meeting, quick roundtable, unless there's an action item that needs to be addressed. You're like, meetings, it's an hour. We'll respect your time and your hour. But every Tuesday morning at 7:30, at every single location, we have what's called Tuesday Talk. And the leaders of this store who have been talking to their managers know the latest and greatest from the enterprise and the leadership calls. It's their jobs. I said, the Tuesday morning enterprise calls are afternoon, the Tuesday talk are mornings. So it's the job of the folks at the stores to own that and to communicate to everyone in the store. So every technician, every sales rep, every parts person that's in that store talks to the Tuesday talk. And then they'll generate the questions, the feedback, or whatever it is on a weekly basis. They'll then pull the regional guy in, hey, we're having an issue with ABC, we need help. The regional guy's job is to remove roadblocks, if he can't get it resolved, we'll be et cetera, till we get what we need to be successful. So I feel like weekly communication with what's going on is great. Now, the other meetings that, like he's talking about, we have those too, but you can't over communicate. And then I do quarterly a State of the Union, and I do it via Teams, I do it live. People don't, emails, people are sick of reading emails, they want to hear from people. So if I can't get the stores for whatever amount period, they know that once a quarter, we're gonna have a live call with the entire organization, and we're gonna hit hot topics. We'll leave the chat box open, got a moderator, bring in the questions, hey, what about this, and it's very real. And there's some hard stuff on there that I can't answer sometimes, I've gotta, hey, let me get with the team and find out. For the most part, we're taking questions from the person answering the phone, it doesn't matter